Hey there, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Managing Partners Podcast. Today, I have an awesome guest that I'm sure you're familiar with. We got Jen Gore coming out of Atlanta. Welcome to
Hello.
the show.
Thanks for having me on, Kevin. I'm excited.
Yeah, I've been seeing your social media and following you for quite a while, and I finally was able to get a hold of you. I'm not sure how, but I appreciate that, and so I'm happy to have you on today to share quite a few things. So, of course, me and Jen have talked previous, and we were just talking backstage. We could probably just talk all day. Uh, have a lot of similar viewpoints and running our companies, and know a lot of other lawyers as well that are running their firms. So here to share as much as we can today. But I wanted Jen to give a quick little background on who she is and her firm, and then we're going to get into some personal brand and some things like that that you'd really be thinking about with your firm, and where we feel, a lot of firms fall short. And so we're going to get into that today. So give us a little background.
Okay, so the short background story is that I grew up in New York in an entrepreneurial family. I went to business school, and during that time, a couple unfortunate legal events occurred in my life, and I was in a very serious car accident. I was in a lawsuit where someone stole my identity, and I thought, I think I need to become a lawyer. And so then after college, I went to law school here in Atlanta. I moved to Atlanta. And then, I knew I wanted to be a personal injury lawyer from the very jump. I worked in personal injury law firms throughout law school. And so then I started my firm the day I got my license when I graduated in
Wow. So you jump right in.
2013. Yep.
That's awesome.
At that time, my daughter was 2 months old. So I started the law firm when she was 2 months old. I took the bar when I was 9 months pregnant. It was very stressful, but it all worked out.
So, I mean, you just were going all in the whole time. So that's awesome. I mean, most people go take a lot of time, work for someone for 10 years, and then they somehow decide to jump off on their own. But you just went all in.
Well, I think because of my upbringing, that both my parents worked for themselves, that it was, part of how my parents talked to me a lot about, like, when you grow up, you'll have your own company. It was just very presumed. And so that was something that I always wanted to have. Even before I became a lawyer, I always wanted to have my own business. And I just wasn't committed to what type of business. So then when I became a lawyer, it was super easy. I'm going to own a law firm. I also knew a bunch of lawyers that own their own law firms. And I think my experience working in other law firms gave me the confidence that, like, okay, I don't have to know everything, but I just need to know how to figure it out. And so I made, lots of mistakes in the beginning, but none of them were catastrophic. And I just tried to figure my way through. And I hired a bunch of coaches in the beginning. And that really was super helpful.
I mean, just that little bit of what you said there is can help a lot of business owners right there. That for one, problem solving, you got to be able to problem solve. You're not going to know the answer to everything, so you got to just get in there and take it on and do the best you can. And that's how you learn a ton. And then coaches, mentors, others that have done it, right? It's a shortcut for a lot of things.
And I do think that there are some people that are really designed and cut out to work for themselves. And I do think there are other people that's not their purpose, that's not their design. And we need all types of people. Like, I think a lot of people that own businesses tend to think, like, oh my gosh, like there's like something extra special about you if you own your own business. From the business I've built now, with the leadership team that I have now, I love like second in command type people. I need those kind of people. Those people, those operationally driven people who are super good at their one area and they can lead, different departments. Like, everyone has their purpose. And I think part of life is finding out what is your gift. And like, my gift tends to be on what I'm doing, which is running the company and building a crazy vision and being, I have a lot of marketing areas that I think I thrive in, but everyone's who's listening to this, you're not going to be Kevin, you're not going to be me. What is it that makes you come alive, and focus your time there?
Yeah, I love that. And we were talking about this a little bit before the show. And as a younger entrepreneur, it's like, why doesn't everyone want to be an entrepreneur and everybody want to, crush it and grow? And, you want to, and I think, all my employees, they should all be looking to be at the top, and it's just, over the years, I've learned just what you're saying is that's not what everybody wants, and understanding what they want, and they have a place,
they might be thinking, why would not everyone want to be second in command? Like, everyone, whatever your worldview is, it's easy to think, why doesn't everyone else see the world the way I see it? But, you have to evolve and realize, like, I'm looking at the world through my filter, and everyone has their own position. And I think the key is finding out what it is that you were uniquely born to do, and what is your unique gifts, and living in that area as much as you can.
Yeah. And so, so the attorneys out there listening, and just thinking back, like, I work with firms that are like usually trying to grow rapidly and scale and stuff like that. And that's kind of the client that we attract, and we are attracted to. But, I have a lot of clients and friends and lawyers that they're not that. And the thing is, they've actually, at least they've figured it out though. Kevin, I don't want to grow like crazy. I want a healthy growth, maybe 10% a year. And, I got family, and I want my time off, and I just want to grow nice. And I'm, wow, they don't want to just crush it. They want to just go, but they figured it out, right? They've laid out exactly what they want.
Yeah. And
we should respect that more.
It's different for everyone. I will say, growing for growth's sake is not like my vision. I mean, everything we've done in growth has been for a reason. And like, for example, I talk a lot about the most dangerous number in any law firm is number 1. So if you have one person in sales, if you have one person in production, if you have one person in any set role, because for whatever reason, something can happen to them and then they cannot work there, whether they quit or they're fired or something happens to them, they get sick, and then that whole department is gone.
Single point of failure. Yeah.
And that's, makes your firm unstable. It makes your firm have a lot of vulnerability. And so a lot of why I started growing initially was just like having that happen over and over and over. And I've made all the mistakes. And then I'm like holding the bag, and I'm like, how did we only have one intake person? And then they got sick and they quit or whatever happened. And then we're up a creek. And so, I think the problem with the smaller law firms and the really like the small operations is, my personal view at this point is there's certain aspects that make them more stressful to run.
Yeah. You're constantly, that admin person leaves, the receptionist leaves, and you only have one of each, and you're just constantly training.
You're in fighting all the time. And not to say that when your firm gets bigger, you're not going to have periods of that as well. But like, if you have 5 intake people and you have the volume to do that, or 10 intake people, and one has to leave, it's much less stressful to redistribute the work over those 9 remaining or those 4 remaining than, oh, now I'm the intake person. Yeah,
that's a good point.
And so, I really do believe in some ways a larger, more stable, more diversified firm with more employees is easier to run in some ways. Not only that, A players want to work at A firms. They don't want to work at Jane Smith's home office of, just her in her office by herself as a solo. A talent wants to work at the top firm. So how can you build a firm that attracts A talent? Because we know it's more fun to work with A talent. they are going to be more profitable in the long run. So if you start looking at it like from a business perspective, there's not a lot of great reasons to build a super small firm, if you're going to go through the effort of building a firm, period.
That is a good way to put it. And I know one of the things I like to think about, because we're trying to grow. We're always trying to grow. I got my family, my kids, everyone that I'm thinking about. Okay, I gotta do something that's setting us all up, right? But at the same time, all your team and employees, like how can you give your team or your employees the ability to grow, lead, make more money themselves, have more security, whatever it might be, or their personal goals, right? What are they trying to achieve? If they see that you're not going to do anything or grow, then
Well,
what's in it for them to some degree? You kind of lose the ability to give them the best you can,
I
and the
think,
A players won't come. That's for sure.
I do think there are models of firms where it's a solo and his paralegal, and they've been together for 25 years, and that's just what it is. And it's flatline growth, but it's just very steady. But those are the types of players that are going to be attracted to that model. Not to say it's wrong. There are people that is their dream. I'm just saying, if something happens to Sally, who's been there for 20 years, on year 21, something happens to her, almost all of the institutional knowledge of that law firm goes out the door, and it is an actual threat and risk. And we also have seen people like, that one key player, they sometimes will withhold knowledge to create forms of control within the firm. We've seen fraud created that way. We've seen a lot of things. So I like the idea of having a more robust team, and we're still continuing to build. And my personal experience has been that we've gotten much higher caliber talent. We've attracted more specialized people because you don't have to wear 25 hats. If the firm is bigger, people can just do one thing.
Yeah.
And that to me has been more fun to manage, more rewarding. But that's my worldview, right?
And that's mine too. I mean, we have specialists now that that's all they do, and we used to have generalists. Hey, by the way, I know we had the job description that said this, but if you could just also do a lot of this other stuff, that'd be great.
Yeah,
you have to start that way. Everyone's got to chip in.
In the beginning, it has to be that way, right? And people are always taking hats off. But I find you get better work when people are more specialized, and you can hold people more accountable, because it's really hard when you're having people pulled in multiple different directions to say, well, why didn't you get this out? Well, you told me to do this, and you told me to do this, and you told me. And so that's the part that makes managing it very hard.
Start to put KPIs to something like where they're jumping around to different stuff all day.
It's hard. And then, at the end of the day, the work didn't get done that needed to get done because they were pulled in another direction, and then you've got to answer for it. So my driving force is just solving problems all the time and realizing like a lot of the solution is more people, more specialized.
Well, we both can agree on all the stuff that we're talking about, but I will wanted to get into how you've been successful and some of the branding that you've done, and the social media, the personal branding, and kind of how that plays a role in your success and kind of where you're going. So first off, of course, congratulations on the Golden Gavel that they just won. So I don't know if you guys have it there or not, but so tell us about that a little bit, and then let's kind of dive into what you've created there, and maybe how other firms listening, whether they're just starting out or maybe they've been doing this for quite a long time.
So at National Trial Lawyers in January last month, we won the Golden Gavel for Best Social Media. It was a surprise, although I guess we should have expected it because they were messaging us like, are you going to be at the awards? And I was like, not putting two and two together.
What are you talking about?
I was like, yeah, of course I'm there every year. I've been going for the last 3 years, sitting in the audience, watching. Kevin Kennedy won last year from TikTok. And Alexa, our marketing director, was with me, and we were both like, oh my God, we just won this. And it was crazy because, we had set out like 2 years ago to really focus on building a brand, and we really divided the brand into two things: Jen Gore Lawyer and then Atlanta Personal Injury. And we thought, okay, these brands are really different, but they are connected. And so you as a lawyer are a brand. Like, think about Johnny Cochran, think about, different famous lawyers that are out there. Think about even Elon Musk versus Tesla. Those are two different brands, right? Mm-hmm. And so a lot of law firms are not looking at it that way. And what's crazy is that people want to follow a lawyer's personal brand more than they want to actually follow a law firm. And I've described it in this context, like, imagine your dentist. Like, would you rather follow your dentist, or you want to follow his dental practice? Like, there's certain things you can do in a personal brand that I think would be weird in a law firm brand. So you can talk more about your hobbies, your interests. And what we know is that people want to work with people they know, like, trust, relate to. And I think you can achieve that more in a personal brand than a like law firm brand. And
or like my agency, like, how many here listening follow Array Digital? Hopefully not many. Versus me.
Kevin. Yeah, because you're more relatable, and it's just the way the human mind works, is that they attract to following a person. And so I talk about my kids, I talk about fitness, I talk about things outside of the law firm, which then when I go places, people will come up to me and I think they feel like they know me because I'm on there sharing so much. And I felt like in the law firm brand, I really couldn't do that. Like, we do a lot, but not everyone's that interested in the 10 things to do after you're in a car accident, if you haven't been in a car accident yet. So that content was more challenging without the personal brand. So I've been telling everyone, decide what your personal brand is and go all in on it, because you already are a brand, whether or not you accept that or not. People think of you and they think of something. And so if you take ownership of it, you can kind of cultivate that brand and really say, I stand for this. These are my values. These are the things that I'm interested in. And it has a really magnifier effect on everything else.
I totally agree with you so much. And I'll give a talk. This is pre-COVID. We had like a marketing thing. We go a few places around our local area, and I was actually going to like Orlando like once a month. But yeah, one of my talks that I had was personal brand, and it was like, you have a brand regardless of whether you think you do or not, and how can you control that brand or change that narrative? And I kind of gave an example. And if I can do this for maybe a law firm too, but if, when I used to be Kevin, like the website guy, I used to make websites locally, and that was it. And I was like, Kevin, the web guy. And I'm like, all right, I don't want them to think like I have a company now, like I have people, and I had to get away from.
You rebranded yourself?
Well, yeah, I had to actively be like, well, it's my company, and I didn't change kind of what I said. And when I went around the networking events, and I just had to just change what I was saying, kind of, right? Like, I don't want you to call Kevin the website guy, which sounds like a cheap option. I was more like, oh, now I'm more established. And so I had to kind of think about it. And then I had a couple, different iterations. Now I'm a law firm marketing company versus just anybody reaches out to us for a website, right? So along the way, I noticed these changes where you have to actively change what you're saying and then go out and tell your power base, if you will. And so just a tip for lawyers listening, if you just started a new law firm, or you're a lawyer that, just became a lawyer, you just assume all your friends and family and everyone that you've ever met automatically know because you posted one time on Facebook.
They don't.
No, they have no clue.
To this day, I have neighbors that say what do you do? And I'm like, guys, I post 2 videos a day.
Yeah.
But the thing is that we're all in our own world. We're not paying attention to other people, honestly, at the level that you think people are. Yeah. And you're just in their awareness, but you have to break through the distraction and the noise that is in our society today. And you have to say your message over and over and over and over again, and people still don't hear it.
Yeah. I mean, I have like close family. They're like, yeah, Kevin, he develops software, or no, he does IT.
He does IT because they put you in this box in their mind that's something to do with a computer.
Yeah,
People
exactly.
ask me if I do family law. I'm like, no, but in their mind, I'm a lawyer. That's the box. And so I don't think you can hit this hard enough. Like, you have to constantly remind the public of what you do in different and creative ways. And it's just it's what you have to do to be a marketer.
Yeah, but I would challenge any attorney, especially if you just started a new firm or you're a solo practice, like make a list of all your friends and family and just say, hey, by the way, just checking in with you. Did you know that I started my law firm and here's what I do? And you'll probably get all kinds of, oh, I didn't know that. Actually, I know someone that could use that. Maybe you're a divorce attorney, maybe you're criminal defense, whatever. But
I think sometimes
you think you have a referral base that you haven't even touched the surface of.
Even our team members, one of the people that works at my firm, she's worked there for 6 years. She said she was shocked that someone in her family was like, what is it that you do again? So the team members but I think it's like we have a family member that's a doctor, right? Or somebody, and we're like, but we don't even know what their specialty is. We're guilty of it too.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah, but it's up to them for us, to get in front of us and say, here's what I do. And everyone means well, but you're just not thinking about what all these other people do so you can refer them all day, right? So we've got to go our way sometimes. We've actually created, we have an incentive plan for every employee in the whole company. If they get a referral or recommend something to a client and they move forward, it doesn't have to, it can be just, hey, by the way, this person, they're an attorney and I'm throwing them and we'll send them they'll get a bonus every single time. So
it's a great idea.
My whole employee staff of 42 people is incentivized to talk about us, make sure people know about us, get referrals, all that, and they'll get paid for it. So,
yeah, and it's crazy because years prior, I mean, how the NTL Golden Gavel Awards came around was that years ago, lawyers couldn't even advertise. And they wanted to create an award for like the best advertisers, the people that are, doing the best billboards and the best outdoor campaigns, because there is somewhat of a stigma that still exists in some lawyer circles that advertising is negative. Mm-hmm. And I really think that is not serving the general public. I always tell my kids, there's good lawyers, there's bad lawyers, there's good doctors, there's bad doctors, there's good cops, there's bad cops. Just because some people sometimes do stuff that may or may not be 100% tasteful in advertising doesn't mean we should stop advertising. There's always going to be things that are controversial, but if you don't advertise, it's very difficult to get clients, and
need your help.
Yeah, you've got to go out and be in a place where someone can find you.
Yeah, well, the thing is, this is Arjan was on the show recently, and this is him, of course, 100%. But you provide a service to people that helps people, right? And so, in order to help more people, they got to be able to know that you're there. And if you feel you're the best at what you do, why not get in front of more of those people to help those people?
I'll give you an example. In my industry, in personal injury, I think that we've done a pretty good job of people know that if they get in a car accident, they can call a lawyer, and we've educated the public. Now, is there some crazy ads? But there's a lot of other areas of law that people truly don't know what their legal options are if X, Y, or Z happens. Because that advertising has not educated the public. So I think in some ways in personal injury, we were really paving the way, because of the high stakes, in our industry. And, these cases can be multi-million-dollar cases. But it's really sad. Like, we've recently gotten into mass torts And mass torts is, more like these new events that are occurring, and a lot of the public does not know. They may have been harmed by one of these events and they don't really know, what their options are. Yeah, like there was a lot of money put into the Camp Lejeune advertising because we had to educate people, on what to do in these events. We couldn't just rely on people knowing, if I live there, I should call and, seek counsel.
Yeah. Versus like I got hit or hurt in a car. That's like a moment in time that happens that they're like, oh, I gotta go do this thing. Versus like the mass torts, it's like they don't even know, right? They just
or even think about like probate. There's so many people that, when their family member dies, they don't know what the next steps are. They don't know what should I do. I don't even think people know what the word probate is often.
Well, I was getting ready to mention estate planning specifically because I have our law firm clients got, we have estate planning firms, we have personal injury, of course, all kinds of different practice areas. Some are general, they do all of it. But estate planning is one of the ones that they're completely anti advertising. They'll do SEO and be found, but other than that, it's like, they just don't think it works for them, and they're against it. But everyone needs a will. What is a trust? Who needs a trust? I mean, those are massive things that everyone should be doing versus you're all advertising to people that may have been in a car accident, but I think everyone needs a will.
There's opportunity. There's a hole in the market. Maybe there's some opportunity here. I think everything, just because it hasn't been done before, maybe there's going to be someone who comes out and does a ton of advertising on wills and trusts. It would be like, less competition. But, the main thing, the message here is that advertising and marketing is an essential part of running any type of law firm. It's the we call it the the
lifeblood,
the heartbeat of, if you don't have cases, the lifeblood, if you don't have cases coming in consistently and predictably, because we know referral businesses are kind of inconsistent.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't build a marketing machine that consistently delivers cases to your firm, it's very hard to run that type of business.
Yeah. And then that affects everyone that works there, their families, your family. Yeah. So you have to have that sustainability.
It's possible. I have built a marketing machine that we can turn the dial up, we can turn the dial down. I used to not believe that was possible because it was so frustrating. My business started off as a referral business. Referrals are very difficult to scale because unless the person referring you the business is growing at the rate you're trying to grow at, the inbound leads will not come in as quickly as you're growing.
It'll be sporadic, at best. And so I think there's a lot of referral businesses I talk to that that's their mindset and that's where they stay. And they kind of stay the size that they're at, and they kind of do good this year and a little bit better next year, and then they go down again. And it's just kind of the game they play.
I do think referrals are often some of our best cases. I do think you should have a referral component to your business, but I haven't known many firms that have ever scaled off of referrals solely, unless it's a super unique situation.
Yeah, unless they have like I've heard of some pretty cool like referral programs, just like they've really put a lot of emphasis and energy into it to build it, but there's still, it's not going to be as predictable as trying.
If you're getting referral overflow from a firm that's blowing up, scaling, and then they're sending you their cases they're not, I could see that. But you're really...
They can also cut that off at any moment.
Exactly. You could
go, you know what? We're going to keep those now.
Yeah, so it's vulnerable. I mean, my feeling on marketing is that you should have a variety. We have a ton of different ways we get cases, and we're diversified. And we're always trying to make sure that all channels are growing and all channels are stable and like consistently working.
Well, I totally agree with you 100%. You should never put all your eggs in one basket. You need to have, and there's new things happening, new, social media platforms. There's new things happening all the time, and how you stay on top of that, new technology, how you're leveraging those things. So it's a lot to be keeping up with, but I want to kind of go back to the brand part. And if you're going to advertise, you're going to show up number one on Google. Google My Business, local service ads, all this other stuff, right? If you're going to show up there and you want to, but what about the brand? And what energy and time have you put into your brand so that when they do go to your website or to your social media channel, what are they seeing? And are we converting them? Are they the right ideal client and customer because of what you've done with your brand? So I want to kind of put like some, back to the importance of that.
So yeah, you really need to take the time to develop your brand and think about what are the ideal clients. Also, just thinking about, your brand values, your vision statement, your your principles that your firm stands for. We spend a lot of time, this bleeds into culture, because you want to attract the right type of client. You want to, be clear what cases you do and do not take. And then when it comes to your personal brand, it's really, your personal values, what you stand for, what you stand against. You have to kind of do a certain level of personal development to be comfortable in your own skin as a brand. I do think we talked about that a little bit.
Yeah.
So many people, when I talk about branding, they're like, I'm uncomfortable. Like, they're comfortable going to court, but they're not comfortable maybe speaking on stage at an event.
Or getting in front of a camera or a phone.
Or on social media. I'm so desensitized from being on social media all the time. Like, I'm on camera all the time that I don't think about it. But if you're not comfortable on camera, or what you look like, or what your voice sounds like, it's going to be very hard for you to put yourself out there as a brand. So I think actually the pre-work to building a personal brand is really getting comfortable in your own skin and like doing some work on yourself, because you're going to have to be authentic. You're going to have to speak your mind. You're going to have to stand for something. And I'm not saying I'm a perfect individual. I have my flaws. Like, I think that's part of the vulnerability of being a personal brand is also talking about those things. But you're going to come across very ingenuine if you're very uncomfortable in your own skin.
Yeah, or you've devised some kind of angle for advertisement. It's not really you, or you're trying to just come up with something because you think it's going to work well. It needs to be for real. And
talk on topics and like in your brand on the things that you're genuinely interested in. Like, don't just say, well, this is what people want to hear about. Like, in my personal brand, it's like the things I'm interested, the things that excite me, the things I want to talk about. And I don't really care. Like, there's going to be people that don't like my brand. Like, if people all like your brand, it's too vanilla.
Yeah.
I get tons of haters on my brand.
Well, the thing is too, like if you pull all this out of yourself and you put it out there, and if you go to Jen's website, picture of her, there's video of her. So many law firms lack all that stuff. I've seen some like, we don't want pictures of any people. We don't have our team on here. We don't, a video, like they're almost like hiding as if they don't want to get too, popular in the limelight. Like, that's not your concern. But they don't get to know who you are. Like, if I go to your website and I got a car accident and I go to two others and there's that video and I'm like, okay, I hear the attorney, I see them. Like, you make a personal connection through that video more than if you didn't have even a picture on your website. So it's just.
I think part of it is that people are uncomfortable with self-promotion.
Yeah. And I don't want to be all about me, right?
I'm like the opposite. I'm like, if you don't cheer for yourself, nobody else is gonna. Like, if you can't be like, I'm awesome, come hire my law firm. Like, nobody else is going to do it. Like, you got to get real comfortable being self-promoting, especially if you own a law firm. And I think people think it's bragging. I don't really know what they think, but you got to be confident. To be a great entrepreneur, to be a great law firm owner, you got to have unwavering confidence, even when you're not 100. Like, I have to sometimes put on the face of like, I got this, and I'm like, maybe I don't, but I'm gonna go forward.
No, I think, yeah, spot on. And yeah, I've heard a lot of people in the past, different business that we work with that just, or the owner or the person that, and I don't want to be on there. I don't want to be mentioned. Like, they got that kind of like, I don't want to be about me, or whatever reason they might have, they're telling themselves. But,
You know what my mindset coach told me? Because I was in that place a couple years ago, maybe like 5 years ago. That's when we changed the name to Atlanta Personal Injury Law Group. I was like, okay, so this isn't really going to be about me. I'm going to be in the background. That was my frame of mind.
yeah.
And I went to my mindset coach and he was like, why are you hiding? He's like, you don't want to be seen. And I had a whole story in my mind about what that meant if I was seen. And it was all BS. Like, and then I basically worked through it. I know this sounds kind of woo-woo, but I swear this is the part of branding that people don't talk about. And it's like, you have some kind of limiting belief in your mind that if I put myself out there, or if I grow my firm to a certain level, something bad's going to happen. And you
What if I
have
fail somewhere along the way?
public failure, or people are going to judge me. Or for me, my limiting belief, I don't even want to vocalize it, but back then was like, people are going to come after me. And it's not real. It's like something in your mind that you're making up that's actually limiting you.
Yeah.
And then, you can basically reframe any of these limiting beliefs that you have. And they're basically fears. And you have to be able to constantly face your fears to up level. And you're going to get people that go on your social media, if you put yourself out there as a brand, that say terrible things. And you've got to have like thick skin, and you have to know that these people actually don't even really think about you that much. Like, if someone leaves a negative comment, they're on to the next negative comment they're leaving. They're not really dwelling on you.
Yeah.
And it's okay. And there's also going to be people that you inspire with your content. And there's going to be people who you help them with their legal case. And like, it's the good with the bad.
Yeah, 100%. I think as you hit different levels, right, you're gonna have more haters, and most people don't like that. I don't know. I probably could never run to be a politician, because that's just half the people hate you. I couldn't deal with that. But you want more haters, right? That's a sign that you're doing something. You're making enough attention.
I don't
that
know if I ever am gonna love the haters, but I just know like it comes with the territory, right?
Yeah.
And
you're
it's
making
like,
an impact if you got haters, though. You're making enough noise that people are recognizing you.
if you're too in the middle, you're too vanilla, you're not really inspiring anyone, and you're not making anyone mad. And like, it's okay. It's okay, because there's always going to be someone with an opinion about what you're doing, no matter what you're doing. If you're doing nothing, there's going to be someone who has an opinion about that. I do think I put myself out there more, so I do get more, the more you put yourself out there, you're going to get more noise. But it's okay. Like, it's just, it's you can't let it derail you.
Yeah, and I think to your point too is without, how you're going to inspire somebody or do the good if you're just sitting back and being quiet. So it's not going to happen.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's really exciting. Like, all of what I will say that I think a lot of people also don't, there is opportunities that have come to me through my branding and social media that in my wildest dreams would have never come to me. You attract like such incredible opportunities when you put yourself out there as a brand. And then, like, it's crazy. Like, it's actually absolutely crazy what you can attract, when you're putting your truth out there and you're speaking your mind. Like, there's going to be people out there that are like, oh my gosh, I need to, like, me and you would have never met, right?
No, not at all. No, I mean, actually, when I got a hold of Jen, I was like, she's like, "Yeah, I've listened to your podcast." I was like, oh, "That's awesome."
Yeah.
I mean, I record these a couple a week, and I have amazing conversations like I'm having here with Jen, and so, but I have to do this constantly, all the time, and I got to be up for doing this and feel good enough to record, or just do it right? And I know this is going to go out live, lightly edited, if not edited, no edited at all. So, but you just got to be comfortable with it. And it's so easy now. I've done 300 episodes and it's repetition. You get comfortable. But I think that's the hardest part. We've been doing this stuff for a while.
Yeah.
Someone sitting right now going, I don't know, how do I get started? What's the first step for me to feel comfortable? Or to record that first video, or, how do they get started? I think that's where people fall short. They just, it's like this
You know what?
thought, but they just don't do it.
Okay, so we can talk about this for a second. So true. Everything is easier with repetition. You've done all these podcasts. I've been on tons of podcasts. I don't even really I just feel like I don't even really prepare. I just am going to talk. Like, it's comfortable.
I didn't prepare at all for this.
Yeah.
I'm just having a conversation with you. It's like not even recording to me.
But the first time, it's very nerve-wracking. So how do you get the courage to do the thing you need to do? You just literally do it, and then you mess it up and it gets easier and easier. Like, there is no, oh, well, it's just you can't wait till you're ready. You just have to jump in. You just have to jump in the deep end of the pool. I remember the first TikTok we shot, it was I didn't love it. But as we've done them, I'm like, oh, now I understand lighting. I understand these things. I understand tempo. I wouldn't have learned any of those things if we didn't make terrible content the first, and even now, I say all the time, in a year, I'm going to look at my content from now and be like, I hate it.
Yeah, 100%. I remember the first podcast I did. I have a personal podcast called Journey to $100 million. Journey to $100 million, basically. 7 years ago, me and my partner were like, we're going to get 100 million in revenue. And we had a podcast. It was daily. I would batch them. But I remember the first, I was like, man, my voice is terrible. I feel like I had never heard my voice before.
That's the problem.
I was like, I don't want to do this. I was like, this sucks. And maybe I still don't like my voice, but it doesn't matter anymore.
You know what your voice is and you accept it. That's what, when you're a marketer, you realize a lot of people they don't know what their voice sounds like. And it's when you've heard your voice 1,000 times, you're just it is what it is.
Yeah. And I still sometimes how was I saying or whatever, but it's just, you got to do it, right? It's part of the process, and you just got to get it out there, and it's repetition, just like working out, right? You just got to continue to do it.
You don't
want to get up and go to the gym sometimes, right? But
I think a lot of it is similar to being a trial lawyer, how you appear in trial. If you video record yourself giving an opening, you can learn a lot. There's a lot of things that, the skills it takes to be a great trial lawyer, to be persuasive, really translate to be a great marketer.
Yeah. I think it really goes back to what you said. For those that are listening to that, didn't win a golden gavel this year, or that have the social media that's it's happy Labor Day.
Oh, that's so boring. Please stop. I mean, every now and then you can throw one of those in, but
yeah, when you're producing as much as you do and you throw one of those in, it still gets action, because it's on, you're just posting so much, so you can actually get away with that. Everyone else is just posting that stuff. It's terrible.
That's social media in 2013 or something.
Well, unfortunately, I'd say 99% of the firms that are probably listening right now, that's their social media. It's, here's a client testimonial. We just hired Sally. But very
client testimonials. I think those are impactful. I think if you could do video client testimonials, I like those as well.
Yeah, but when your whole feed's just repetitive of the same 3 things, you're doing your 3 posts per week. That's, and it's all image. There's no.
Here's another thing I do want to mention, though, about social media and branding. There are people out there doing stuff that on social media negative tends to work, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So there are people doing things that I consider negative. You never want to do something in social media that would harm your base brand. So for example, I've seen people putting up videos because they're trending on chastising their employees, right? like, because the public could find that funny. If you believe in treating your employees with total respect and then you go make a video like that, you're harming your brand. And I've had to like mention this to many lawyers I know. I'm like, yeah, I understand it might get 100,000 views, but it's not the type of views you want.
That's even worse, right? It got more views than your other stuff. And so the negative stuff now is more your brand than what you believe.
Yeah, or like
Doing more harm.
seeing people making fun of clients on their TikTok because it gets views. Or like, my clients are crazy. That is a very negative frame of mind. We don't believe clients are crazy. Our clients are in some of their most difficult times of their life. I would never make content just for views, because
Good point.
What is the net end goal to build your brand? Well, you don't want a brand where the firm trashes their clients.
That's a good point. Like you just figure out what the algorithm wants and just change up all your stuff to that. That's not what you should do. I agree with that 100%.
Well,
It's on LinkedIn. If on LinkedIn you do a text post and it's all about woe is me and I did this wrong, and that gets tons of action.
Yeah,
but I don't want to post that crap all day.
That's the challenge, is that negative does work really well in these platforms. And so, to put out positive content that's in alignment with what you believe in, it takes more strategy, and you never really know what's going to work. But I do think my point of view is it's a volume game. Part of, I think, why we've gotten into so many people's feeds is just the volume. You put up enough content, you're always there. We put up a video 365 days of the year. If you have a video every day, it's way more consistent than posting randomly.
Oh yeah, you're being rewarded for it. And that's the thing. That's what it takes. I mean, to get what you got, the word you guys got, it's strategy, repetition, and then first I think going through the exercise to know your brand and yourself and establishing that, and coming to Jesus with that, and then it'll be a lot easier, I think, for you to start, right? Once you're like, you know what, this is me, and this is it, and then once you go through that personal development, like you said, this is a lot easier to just, accept and be like, you know what, screw it. I'm going to record this and throw it out there, and I'm just going to do it.
Yes. And your uniqueness is your power. It even comes down to how you dress. It's just everything. You are a brand. When you show up, you're on brand. You are exactly who you've said you are, It's really fun. I love branding.
Well, I appreciate you sharing everything about this topic, and we've covered quite a few things here. But I want to make sure that people that are new to you and your brand, they can reach out to you. They can learn more from you. I got your website address here at the bottom. So it's atlinjurylawgroup.com. You can check her out. Obviously, if you're watching this, we're on LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook. You can Google for the podcast.
Come heckle our posts.
Yeah, we'll comment. If you say anything, have a question while you're watching this, I'll see it. I can tag Jen and make sure she, reaches out to you. But what's the best way for other attorneys or people watching to connect with you or follow you? What if they wanted to actually message you and get you? What's the best way to do that?
Find me on all the social media platforms, but my email is Jennifer@ATL Injury Law Group. I'm available. Anyone has any questions? I love meeting people that are trying to grow and scale their firms. Like I said, I've mentored a ton of people, and go to the conferences. That's where we all are. I'm trying to get Kevin to come to the conferences.
I'm going to be there. It's just talking me into it. I got a couple that I'm going to be hopefully coming to you. So take the podcast on the road. Watch out. So, so what I want to mention too before we go, the book that you co-authored. I think I had a.
Oh yes.
Did you had like a little version of it there in your office there? Yeah. Tiger Tactics, CEO edition.
me and several of my lawyer colleagues and people I met through the book writing process wrote this book, Tiger Tactics, and we released it in November of 2023. It's been amazing, something I always wanted to do. And it just, honestly, I feel the branding was the reason they invited me to be part of it. And that's one of the opportunities that I was describing, like things come to you that you never knew were going to come to you. I got to write my chapters in the book. They pose 6 questions to each of us that own law firms, and we all got to answer it from our own point of view. A lot of my point of view was, from the woman's position. I have kids. I've, done all this, scaling a firm while raising a family. And then through, all the coaching I've received over the years, there was like certain questions like, who do you need to grow a law firm? What tools do you need? And it was really interesting to hear everyone's different perspective.
Oh, wow, that's really cool. So, and here's as a non-law firm owner, I think I should get a copy of that because I'm sure I can learn just as much. So, and that's the cool thing about this podcast. Like, I'm learning from you right now, and all my guests that run businesses is happen to be law firms versus marketing. But they're all businesses, right? Like this is the same thing. This is the business. You just happen to be in a law firm business, and I'm in the marketing business. But all the same systems, processes, hiring, firing, culture, all apply, right? And those are all things that you got to work on. All those things. There's so many things that you have to put attention to. This, the answers are out there, but it sounds like Tiger Tactics sounds very tactical in nature.
Really, a lot
of
practical insight and like our true experiences. And it's a variety of practice areas. So it's people that are doing criminal, family, personal injury. It's not just personal injury. And a lot of great advice in there. A lot of successful law firm owners participated. So if you want to check out the book, it's on Amazon. It was a bestseller. We were like blown away. It was super exciting.
That's awesome. So you just came out in November, you said, right?
Yeah.
You had earlier had the little ornament, the Tiger Tactics.
They put it over here.
They stole it. They took it away.
Yeah, they took it away. So I'm gonna bring it back.
There you go. I'm gonna get one of those for my
Somebody
tree.
amazing gave me this ornament. Isn't that very nice?
That's cool.
Yeah.
I would definitely have that on my tree if I was in the book. So that's awesome.
My legal ornaments.
Yes. Well, I'll leave us with this, and you can add to it. But because of what you've done with your brand, putting yourself out there, and the social media, just the repetition and the effort behind it, it's paid off in many ways. You're getting exposure to things that you never would have. You're getting opportunities that you never would have. You're growing your firm. You're learning from the best in the business that you've built relationships with, all because of, again,
attracting
talent, building,
helping more clients. Like it all kind of goes together.
Yeah. So small law firms out there that are listening, if this is something you haven't worked on, or if you're a estate planning, or you're in this doesn't apply to me. You're a referral only business. You got to think outside the box here. All these things are applicable to any practice area or any business that's listening at all. You just got to find what works for you. But I think going through, the motions and stepping back and put some strategy behind it. What do you want to do? Who are you? What could work for you? And if you're unsure, reach out to me, reach out to Jen. Happy to help you, point you in the right direction. So, well, Jen, anything else you'd like to add before we go?
Thank you so much for having me on. You've had such impressive guests on this show, and it's such an honor to be invited on. I love the conversations you're having and helping, get the message out there of what it takes to grow and scale, a law firm. And just these conversations are so needed.
Well, I really appreciate that. I'm glad to add you to the list of alumni to the show. And always looking for guests, good guests that can bring a different perspective, niche, or just broad experience. But So if you're out there and you're like, yeah, I could be a good guest, or I have something that I've done that's unique that you could add, and I could have Jen on like 10 times in a row, and we could just cover.
We have lots to talk about.
Yeah. So you'll be seeing her again, I think. But yeah, always looking for great guests. So anyone out there that's listening think you'd be a good guest, let me know. Happy to reach out to me and we can get you on the show. And again, for me, the conversation is the most important part of this, for regardless of the recording or y'all are watching. It's great. But I learned so much, and I get to have the conversation with Jen and get to meet her. So putting myself out there and having this podcast and recording this in video as well, right? So if you're in a car listening, this is also all video, and we have this on other platforms. It gets you out of your comfort zone, and you get to meet people, and you get to build relationships. There's just so much that comes out of it. So I'm grateful to be doing this, and just excited to have Jen and others like that on the show. So get out there, grow your firms, think about your personal brand, and if you don't think you have one, you do, but you might want to work on that. So Jen, thanks so much. You can stay backstage with me. Everyone else, have a great day, and good luck out there.